has evolved, it's grown, we've had some terrific experiences, we've made adjustments because the industry has changed and the business world has changed, and you've got to continually be adjusting. And I've been a part of that. I've taught in every single class from the first class and really had a blast with it. It's been really hard for me because when the dean went and twisted my arm and said the two things that I love to do, which you know are sports and statistics, and be able to merge that into a program, it was a labor of love for me. Well, rather than just dive right into academic work specifically, I want my students to be excited about coming to class every day. That's really important for me. And so everybody's in this program because they love sports, and I love sports. And so one of the goals and focus of my class is how do we merge the business side and the academic side of statistics into what's going on in the daily activities of the sports world. So I like to start with a couple minutes at the beginning of class and invite the students to bring in examples, as well as myself too, on what's new in the world of statistics and sports. So they have to bring in an example, or I bring it in, which merges, which talks about something that's going on statistically as part of the world of sports or the business side of sports. And it's important that they talk about the significance of it. It's not good enough to say, Manny Machado went 3 for 5 yesterday with a home run and a double. Yes. There's a really interesting tennis statistic that happened last week, which is really unique. There's a young player from Australia named Alex de Minaur. He's ranked about 30th in the world. He won the tournament in Atlanta. It wasn't that he won the tournament. It wasn't that he held serve every single game of all of his matches in the tournament, but he never had a break point against him, which is an incredibly unique experience. I don't ever recall a player going through a tournament with that type of situation. So that makes that an incredible, way off the charts, unique type of accomplishment. I was at the game yesterday and we had to leave in the 8th inning. The score's 5-5. We're driving home and on the radio, Baltimore has a player named Chris Davis. Chris Davis is noted for having long hitless streaks, so that's not unusual. But they told us, and I didn't know this at the time, that he hadn't had a hit in his last 18 at-bats, but he had struck out 14 times out of his last 18 at-bats, that is again going to be, I didn't run the calculations on it, that would be more than 5 standard deviations off the charts. One more, a couple of weeks ago, there was a situation where on 3 consecutive days, a Major League Baseball player hit 3 home runs in a game. That had never been accomplished in baseball history. The first thing I wanted to take away is an appreciation for the role of statistics in the daily activities and strategic decision making of any corporation, large or small. There's an important part which I tend to really focus on in that I tend to have two types of students that really enjoy working with numbers and computers and big data, and then students that aren't particularly thrilled about it. But so there's a different focus I'm going to put with each one. But if in fact you're not going to be involved in the day-to-day analytics and the calculations and working with the data itself, to understand the importance and to try to be able to look at how do I coordinate with the people that are in the analytics department, or how do I coordinate with my statisticians? How do I learn to talk the language so that we can have a conversation, so I can make sure that I'm able to get the information that I need, and learning how to ask the right questions. An important part of my course, and I think the program itself, is not just doing the number crunching or working on financial analysis or doing marketing plans or whatever it is, but being able to just look at big pictures and learn how to ask questions. It's not about sometimes getting answers, it's about learning to have the right discussions and asking the right questions to make sure that what we're able to do is things that are valuable for us and contribute to us making better decisions. One of my favorite parts of the course is that I have students working with individual data sets that they either bring into class, or I've generated data sets over the years from projects that I'm interested in, some of my research work, and good data sets that other students have brought in from previous classes. And what I want them to be able to do is dive into the databases and do the number crunching and apply the concepts that we talk about in class specifically, but then to be able to write that up for someone who does not have a strong statistical background. As we've discussed, an important part I've always felt like is for people to be able to tell the story. We have lots of data, we have people that love to dive in and analyze the data, but now we have to make some sense out of it. And so when we have these large data sets, how do we make some sense out of it? How do we present this to our boss or to a group that is going to be influential in the decision-making process? And so there's a lot of writing that goes on in my course, which some students don't always like. I don't hope they appreciate it, but because they tend to think statistics is about number crunching, and it is. But if we're doing number crunching but nobody understands what we're doing, then pretty much what we're doing is in vain, and our results aren't going to be used at the highest levels. So I really like when the students are diving into the databases and finding stuff that they are really excited about and enjoy doing, and then being able to tell the story and try to explain it to their boss. Look at the big picture, take it all in, figure out what you like and you don't like, because you're shaping your future. But also take a look at what you don't like, and you may have to work harder in that area, because you might find at some particular point that might be part of what you're doing. Do your homework, do your research. And when I say do your homework and do your research, I'm not talking about your classroom stuff. I'm talking about the business world. The business world is about networking. At every single sports organization, they have this big, giant stack of applications, and you want to be able to figure out how do you get yourself on that short stack. There's sometimes the best opportunities, sometimes are with smaller organizations that maybe are not as big a marquee, but it gives you a chance to work on your career, learn some more skills, be more involved, and things like that. Because when I talk about having your elevator pitch and then networking and things like that, when a speaker comes into class, hopefully you might have at the end of class 15 seconds or 20 seconds to go up and introduce yourself and to say one or two things which might make enough of an impression. Because I think the year and a half that you spend in this program is a wonderful opportunity to launch your career. And it's just the beginning of many, many, many years. But when you talk to our alumni that have been very successful coming out of this program, and that's one of the things that just endears me to the program, is the success stories that we've had. To talk about not only what they did in the program, but what they did their first year or two. So engage with the alumni, pick their brains, see what's worked for them, see where it's been successful, take advantage of all of it, and enjoy the ride. This is a year and a half which I would think might be the most fun and enjoyable year and a half of your life. Even though obviously it's going to be stressful, it's going to be busy, we're going to work you to death, and because we really want to get you ready for what's going to happen to launch your career, and we want you to be able to acquire the different skill sets and to learn about yourself in terms of where you need to strengthen and where you're really good and where you're marketable with all that. So that's something I could talk about for hours upon end, but that's something that obviously is near and dear to me.